we haven't talked about GameStop in a while and their retro woes. We try to put a moratorium on it, but this is
different. Though.
This is a little different, but it's somewhat connected. This is like breaking news, folks. We're now the CEO podcast, like the breaking news for all your retro and bad Kickstarter sort of needs. The Retron 5 is now for pre-order on GameStop.com. The Retron 5, if you don't search for it on YouTube and see my face come up first to review it when it came out a couple years ago already, it's a 10-in-1 system according to GameStop, and it's on a GUI interface, and it's a bunch of emulators thrown in that may or may not be totally cool if they put them on there, but it does NES, Famicom, Super Famicom, Super Nintendo, Genesis/Mega Drive, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. And so GameStop's been trying to get back into the retro market to some degree of success. I don't know if they're making money on it. They're screwing over customers left and right, but they're trying. So this is interesting because it's not like they're selling the retro games in the store. They're all selling them online. So I'm assuming that this is only going to be an online deal. And by the way, it's $40 off right now, the retail MSRP. They're trying to sell it for only $100 only instead of $140.
It's not the MSRP, but I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. Well, that's why you're here. You're the expert on all this stuff, all the shenanigans that go on with this stuff. So, but it says bonus $40 if you try to order it online. So obviously, this could be maybe GameStop then trying to sell the Retron 5 and say, hey, but by the way, guys, we got an online store of goodies that you can use with the Retron 5. It could be their way of getting into the market without having to deal with all the bullshit of getting NESs and cracked freaking Genesis systems.
Yeah.
And then having to deal with that bullshit, and now we'll just sell this and it takes care of all our needs.
Warranty stickers on Sega CD, expansion ports.
This takes care of everything except the Dreamcast and PlayStation games we're selling, basically.
Yeah, so I think that this makes a lot of sense for GameStop, actually. It's new in a box. There's a problem, you send it back to GameStop, and within their warranty period, they send you another one new in a box. It handles, like Pat said, that was going to be one of my main points. It handles a majority of the retro stuff that they are selling. It's an all-in-one solution. They don't have to worry about having their incredibly talented team of with
their surgical gloves.
With their surgical gloves, at the refurbishment center, working on Nintendos and Super Nintendos and Sega Genesis systems. Really, you just throw this in a shipping box and out the door it goes. And I can tell you, as a person who has sold these at a store for a few years now, there's really very little issues with these. Yes, the pins are tight. Don't step on the system when you're pulling the cartridge out. All things considered.
Don't step on your systems in general.
Ever. All things considered, this is a pretty interesting move. I have to be a little bit more metered with this next part. The pricing is interesting to me. The company that makes these basically got where they got by distributing and selling to brick and mortar stores, mom and pop, and online stores that are like registered businesses.
Sure.
You can't go to Hyperkin and buy something unless you have a business license.
Okay.
You can't do it. When the Retron 5 was announced, they said that they were going to keep it at under 100, which everyone assumed was going to be 100 at $99.99. Then when it came, about a month or 2 months before it came out, they said it was going to be 140. And it launched at 140. And 2 months into it having been launched, the price rose to 160, stating that because of the production of this, they had to raise the price to 160.
They had to redo the pins or whatever.
Yeah, so the price became 160. Eventually, you started seeing some places charging 160, some places were charging 200. You started seeing some places, for a little while, you started seeing places charge over MSRP because these things were kind of tough to come by initially.
And on the secondary market, people were buying them at retail and trying to get $250 for them or $240, whatever.
This is weird because this, to me, seems... I don't want to say shady. What's the word I'm looking for here, Pat? It seems kind of like an attack on a mom and pop or a brick and mortar store.
Okay.
We are still going to have to buy at our cost. We are still going to have to charge $160.
Okay, which is interesting because on Amazon right now, The list price is $140, but you can buy it for $123.50 with free shipping.
Then maybe they're dropping them. We haven't had to order any in a couple months since we had some in. But I'll look. I mean, so if the prices are going down, the prices are going down.
But still, the list price is still $140 according to Amazon.
That definitely changed. I mean, I know most walk-in stores it was $160. So we'll have to take a look at it. Maybe they will drop the price. Maybe it will lower. I mean, we are 2 years out of its manufacturing. Things do drop in price. FC Twins and Retron 2s were a lot more expensive.
You still see this as a shot at the independent stores from Hyperkin.
I don't know if it's Hyperkin necessarily as much as it is GameStop, but it's definitely undercutting. It's going to be harder to move these things for a mom and pop store now, unless the prices have drastically fallen.
Sure, but then again, you still have to ship these, and it's not going to be free shipping. So at a mom and pop, they don't have to worry about shipping. I think this is really not going to affect independent shops as much as trying to cater to those that are going to be for whatever. Stop looking for retro games at GameStop. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah.
You're not going to win the retro game lottery. For every one person that wins that weird lottery, people get fucked in the ass. There's probably a 10-to-1 ratio of that happening. So it's for them, though, to say, oh, well, if you're looking for Genesis games and you need a Genesis, we may not have the Genesis in stock. You can buy the all-in-one.
I mean, a $100 Retron is not a bad deal.
And think about, they want people to buy this because they don't have to pay people to get that shit. They have to pay for people to mail those systems in, to refurbish them, to get them back out. This is better for GameStop to do this versus selling individual systems. It's less bullshit.
I wonder what kind of bulk they had to order in, though, to get it at $99.99. Let's just assume that the MSRP is going back down to $140.
Well, it's an online code, so it could be
just a temporary thing.
It could be something where GameStop doesn't care if they break even. To them, it's worth it, the hassle of doing this versus selling all those individual. They're basically cutting out 3 systems by doing this for the retro games that they're doing. They're cutting out 3 out of the 5 systems that they're selling, right? So that to them is a win-win.
I think more importantly, what it is that it takes a huge load off of them. It removes a burden, and it removes a lot of areas where they could fuck up.
And maybe they did order like 20,000 of them, so they got a better deal from Hyperkin. Hyperkin's like, we don't care. We'll sell however many you want. We're making bank.